I got some fun facts that I think are going to blow your mind today. It has to do with couples, it has to do with relationships, and it has to do with divorce. I want you to think about this, and this isn't the one that's going to blow your mind. Okay, 6% of divorced couples get back together. That kind of sounds about right, doesn't it? 6% get back together after they got divorced with their original spouse. But think about this one. This one absolutely blew my mind. 2% of those couples who remarry their first spouse actually stay together. Can you believe that? Second marriage, 72%. That is higher than the 40% that actually stay together in their second marriages to a separate spouse. That means 60% of second marriages fail. It's actually like 64% of second marriages fail. But can you imagine marrying your spouse again? I mean, think about that. Only 6% do, but of those 6%, 2% stay married long term. And what really got me thinking about this is I am working with a couple in this situation right now. They were married for about 15 to 20 years. They ended up getting a divorce, and about a year or two later, they ended up getting back together and ended up getting remarried. And I asked them, I said, legal reasons? And they said, no, actually, we love each other more now than we ever did. And we started peeling back the situation. We started looking and trying to figure out what worked and what didn't work. Well, first of all, when they were married the first time, they never came to counseling. They never went to couples counseling. They never went to individual counseling, and they never worked on themselves. After they got divorced, it actually gave them time to focus on themselves. And I talk about in another video about how it's okay to be selfish. Well, both of these individuals had the opportunity to be selfish. They had the opportunity to mature. They had the opportunity to learn how to communicate better. They had the opportunity to work on themselves, and they had the opportunity to become the best version of themselves. So when they showed up every day, they were confident and they felt good. And ultimately, they were happy. They were happy with the versions that they had become. Their best hopes had been reached, and they couldn't be prouder of themselves. So then they started hanging out with their kids a little bit more. They started hanging out with each other a little bit more, and they realized that they've matured. Their wisdom has gotten a little bit better, and they both were a little bit older. They both had gained experience outside of the marriage, and they both understood themselves a little bit better because they got married young. So spending 15, 20 years together with somebody who's, getting married at 20 years old doesn't give you the opportunity to truly grow and become the best version of yourself. The other thing I think that really worked during our conversation is they did the inner work. I started seeing one of them because he was going through the divorce and he needed a counselor to talk to. And then finally, for the first time, admitted that he needed help. And when you start admitting things, you get uncomfortable. When you get uncomfortable, you start growing, because growth happens when you're uncomfortable. And you hear me talk about that all the time. So he learned about himself. He became the best version of himself. He did things he never thought he was going to do. He visited places he never thought he was going to visit. And he became a true gentleman and became a true version that he really liked for himself. And while he was doing that, his ex-wife was actually doing the same. So when they actually started communicating again, they both realized that they actually had improved communication between the two of them. And they were able to talk to each other in a normal voice. They were able to take some of the emotion out and actually just interject. They were also able to have clear expectations. They've never had that before. They just assumed the one person was going to do something. They just assumed the other person was going to be like this. They just assumed. So when they set the expectations and they set the personal boundaries, and those personal boundaries were clear, they were able to be their true authentic selves, but also show up for their partner in that relationship. And at the end of the day, it also lowered the social pressure of getting remarried. And they both also kind of looked at each other and said, this isn't worth it moving forward. We actually do love each other. We just couldn't, do X, Y, and Z. And now they actually had the opportunity to work on themselves, and now they're working on the relationship, and they're remarried again. They say their marriage now is better than it was in the first 15 to 20 years. Why? Wiser, older, but I break it down truly to they're both willing to put the work in. They're both showing up to counseling. They're both outlining what those personal boundaries look like, and they're both putting themselves first along with the relationship. They're being selfish and saying, I'm going to do X, Y, Z. I'm going to take a nap. I'm going to read a book. And they've taken the pressure and the stigma off of the roles in the relationship. They both do the dishes. They both make beds. They both do things together because they sat down and communicated what that looked like and what they expected out of each each person. So many of us get married and we never truly have the conversation with the fiance or our girlfriends at the time. We just get married, but we never sit down and say, where do we want to be in 5 years? Do you want the relationship to look like in 10 years? What do we want to do with our kids? How do we want to raise our kids? Do we want to have a specific religion? Do we want to have a specific education for them? And it's not until it's too late that we get into these marriages and realize we can't do it and we can't communicate and we can't get along. But fast forward, what if you were to work on yourself first and then get into a relationship? What if you were to become the best version of yourself and then get into a relationship? There is so much we can learn from someone who is now remarrying in their second marriage to their first or initial spouse. Why? Because they've worked on themselves, they've learned how to communicate, and they put the inner work in. They did what they wanted to do to become the best version of themselves. Imagine if we actually did that in our first marriages, how much divorce would decrease compared to what it is today. What is it? 56% of marriages end up in divorce. And it's because everybody is so easy to say, yep, I'm done. I don't want to put the work in. Work is hard. Work is uncomfortable. But if you do put it in, I can tell you what, and I've said it time and time before, the best version of anything comes from the hard work that you put in. Did a millionaire become a millionaire overnight? More than likely not. Did he work? Did he slave? Did he miss all these events? Did he do everything else to get to that point? Yeah, he did. And he did it doing the inner work for that business and for whatever else that got him there. And when we look at improved communication for an individual that didn't know how to talk in a relationship and, they come and see me and we work through some things and now they can talk to their spouse and communicate their feelings and set natural boundaries that make sense for them, they feel accomplished. They feel better about themselves and they feel better about the relationship. That's what's happening in these second marriages. I mean, it's insane to think the fact that 72% stay married. I mean, that means that they said, I love each other. We get remarried and we realized that this wasn't a mistake. This is actually what we should do. And the second half of their life is better than the first half of their life. And when I say life, I'm talking about their marriage. The second part of their marriage, the next 20 years are going to be a hell of a lot better than the first 20. Why? Because they did the work, because they're willing to put the energy in, they're willing to put the effort in, they have clear expectations, and they've matured, and they have become the best version of themselves. I'm Chris Kourtakis. I am a licensed counselor. I work with high-achieving individuals and power couples. The people that we're working with right now that are in their second marriage and trying to figure things out, it is amazing to see how well they can communicate now. And it is so amazing to see how they've set their boundaries, their clear boundaries, and they are now able to both reward each other by adhering to those boundaries. And those is something that they discovered in counseling. And it's something that they discovered about themselves and about the relationship. So if you're looking to get some help, I absolutely think you should, because you know what? It's all about authenticity and finding the best version of yourself. So if you like this video, please make sure you hit the like button down below. If you want to see more content like this, please hit the subscribe button. And if there's somebody out there that you think would benefit from this information, please share it with them, because I want to get the word out so I can create more videos like this that's going to help every other individual out there like that. But I want you to think about it. 6% of second marriages are with the original spouse, but of those 6%, 72% actually stay together. Think about that. Are you willing to put the work in? Are you willing to do what it takes to get to the next level? What are your best hopes? What are your best versions for yourself? What are your best versions for a relationship? Can you get there in your current spot, or do you need a little help?